Welcome to a new installment of Social Wavelength Conversations brought to you by socialwavelength.com. Join us for a chat full of rich digital and social media insights from the industry. Let's connect with our hosts Sanjay Mehta and Mihir Karkare for an exciting foray into the world of social media.
Welcome to another episode of Social Wavelength Conversations. I'm Mihir.
Hi, I'm Sanjay.
And today we're going to talk about... Sanjay, there's a crisis.
Right.
We're going to talk about what do you do when there's a crisis that hits you on social media. That's the topic for today. Your thoughts, Sanjay?
Yeah, so the inspiration to do this particular episode on crisis management obviously is on account of a recent incident with a leading retail brand where, in one of their outlets in Goa, I think, they found that the camera, closed circuit camera, was sort of recording stuff happening inside the changing room, which was, obviously it would have been not exactly intentional, can't have been intentional, and whatever happened, whether it was a local employee or employees who made some mistake or did it as a rogue activity, whatever be the case, what ended up happening was that the brand was in crisis because suddenly, it's a brand which has got stores across the country, and if this is happening, there's a question that is it happening across all stores? Right. Do women feel safe even walking into the store or going into the changing room at all, and whatnot? Mm. And now you're caught in that situation. It could potentially sort of harm not just reputation but the market, business. How do you handle that? Right. Or what do you do at that point if you are the CEO of the company or if you're the key management? How do you handle that situation? So, it could happen to anybody. So right. That's just a motive. You're not really going to necessarily slice and dice that incident, right. But it could hit you when you least expect it. So right. What do you do in that situation?
No, absolutely. And in fact, I'm sure such incidences have been happening forever, right? I mean, especially whether it was a mischief or whether it was a mistake or whatever. But the only thing is that now it is so much more likely that if found out, the person who finds out will write about it somewhere, post a picture. We saw similar cases where there was a rat in some kitchen and someone photographed it of a leading chain. So I mean, this is a very, very relevant topic. Pretty much every single CEO in the country needs to be thinking about this. So what do you do, Sanjay, in such a situation? What does a CEO do?
So I think, at the very outset, one has to just do a very quick assessment of what the real challenge is on ground. Because whatever you do on social media, the first thing is to figure what's really happening. So, right. Is the situation prevalent as a part of your business process? Was it a mischief? Was it somebody doing something intentionally to harm your reputation? That assessment has to be got absolutely urgently on priority. You drop everything and get that especially if the potential crisis is very serious, if it can affect your business tremendously, if it can potentially be a life and death situation for somebody who is, utilizing your services, any such situation, or like food poisoning, if you're a healthcare company, somebody is dying because of some negligence, or whatever be those cases, if that's the kind of impact that it could potentially have, get the on-ground assessment as the very first thing, and fix it. So obviously, if it's a negligence, if it's some mistake, it could have not been intentional. It was some reason why it happened. So fix it very, very quickly. So for example, if this was a case of some cameras pointed in the wrong direction, inadvertently or because of some rogue work, get it fixed, correct it. So let's look at this particular brand which had this. So what I would recommend them to first do is fix it. And then if you have 50 outlets, go and take pictures or photographs and let somebody kind of walk their way to the store and record it on video. Then this is our outlet at so and so place. This is our outlet at so and so place. See how it is. That was one mistake. It was whatever. Maybe the employees had made a mistake. Get them arrested. Get them behind bars. Maybe seal the store for 2 days while you actually do the fixing. go out with a very, very confident statement which can generate confidence in your customers that, look, it was a one-off, it's been fixed, and here's proof, here's the walkthrough of all our stores, and you can be assured that that's got taken care of. So doing that as a beginning is a great reassurance, and the most senior person from your side can come on camera, whether it's a CEO, CEO, chairman, or whoever, and give after having fixed the thing, give an assurance that it was a one-off and we've taken care of it. Those guys who made a mistake, they've been arrested. We're apologetic for all that. But look, here's proof that everywhere else, nowhere else this situation is there, and you can be relaxed. That generates confidence. So that's a good start.
Right. So absolutely. I think just a couple of points that come to my mind is that while obviously a crisis will not be predictable in that sense, you can be reasonably sure that there will unfortunately always be a time when it has to, just probability says that crisis will happen at some point. So you need to be prepared from day one. So, whether it means setting up established roles and responsibilities within the organization. What is the team that is actually picking up crisis? So it could be a social listening exercise, or it could be reports coming in from stores. Then what is the quick response team? So who are all the stakeholders who need to be pretty much speed dial away from everybody else and ready to kind of respond really quickly? And then who are the people who are going to be like the mitigators that they're going to come up with and execute the strategy that's going to mitigate the ill effects of that crisis? That preparedness can't happen once the crisis has happened, because it's too late. That preparedness has to happen like it should have happened in 2014, guys. It has to have happened so far. If not, you need to do it on a war footing. And
what you're referring to is what is called as a crisis management protocol.
Right.
So that protocol is defined ahead of time. If you start creating something on the fly, there's every chance that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to put your foot in your mouth because you're reacting then. Not that you can predict the various different types of crisis, but you can, reasonable scenario mapping could have been done in the beginning.
That's right.
And especially depending on the kind of business that, for example, what if there's a fire and, some employees get burnt or somebody dies, then what will you do? Or we make a mistake, somebody gets this, or if you're a food chain, somebody gets food poisoned, or some rat comes out, or, if you're a healthcare brand, somebody dies in the hospital, or something like that happens. Or if you are a company which has got, let's say, you're not the most environment friendly company because of the nature of your business, or you potentially have people working in rough conditions, that there are activists, there are motivated, opponents to the business who may one day decide to sort of astroturf your Facebook page or something like that. So all of these are imaginable scenarios, and while you'll pray that it never happens to you, you're the most religious person because you'll pray fervently that it never happens to you, but it could happen. So in today's times, that's not something which you can take for granted. And I believe a lot of these industries, a lot of these businesses do have a crisis management protocol to handle these offline, whether it's a PR activity or whatever else. What needs to be done now is to have a very integral social media component to that same crisis management protocol, and which is what we are basically what you were talking about essentially. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so one is to have the protocol. I think the other important thing is, and what I use on this is, sensitizing the actual all the employees of the organization, because there are times when we've seen that these issues happen because somebody is not sensitized enough.
Correct.
He or she does not know the gravity of the situation that they're putting the brand into. Right?
Exactly. Now, so visualize this. So let's visualize a decentralized operation, whether it's a company which has got factories in 10 places and workers working at various places, or even it's an office. It's an IT company with 5 or 6 different big development centers across the country, and something goes wrong. So you're a big IT company, and there's a scam, some sexual harassment thing in one of your centers, in one of your development centers, and it becomes a crisis, because these are things which can get media momentum in no time. And that's when media rushes and people put a camera in front of you, people put a mic in front of you at a location which is not your central corporate communication team or something. And maybe it happened even earlier. Maybe it happened in times 10 years back, 5 years back, something could have easily happened. But those were not the days where cameras and video cameras were on your phone. Those were not the days when somebody could be live tweeting that particular conversation which you're having offhand, and here all those things have become real. So because that crisis could hit at any of your remote locations, and if you're a coffee shop chain and you have got like hundreds of outlets, something goes wrong somewhere, is the manager there or the manager's assistant there, who could be the biggest senior most person on duty when this happens, does he have an understanding of how to handle this? Right. So that's where is the requirement. Exactly what you're saying, that across factories, across offices, across outlets, having enough number of people who are apprised that this can happen. There could be people putting cameras in front of you, people putting mics in front of you, and you have to react. How will you react? What will you say, or what will you not say? It's even more important.
Exactly, and this is similar to having. I mean, this conversation leads into having in place a social media policy, just like you may have an ethics policy or something like that, and then not just having the policy as something to be kept in a someone's hard disk, but actually driving that down to the last person in the organization. Absolutely. I think these are things that are very real.
And the unfortunate part with a lot of organizations is that in the biggest of companies, I'm not even talking of SMEs and all who probably are not yet sensitized on this, but the biggest of companies, they've started to see all this in light. Oh, I need a social media policy, and they'll find some drafts and make them and keep them, and it might go in an HR folder or something like that, but it's not taken seriously enough. Right. And unfortunately, all the learning happens on the first actual crisis, and then suddenly everybody wakes up, that this is how it should have been done. We always had a social media policy, but we had not really gone and sensitized enough people. So why should the first crisis be your learning point when you have the luxury or the opportunity to learn even before in peace times, as you would call? Why do you want to always learn in the war times?
That's right.
Yeah. So I think if you just want to complete that in a scenario that first thing, so we kind of digress that first thing is to get the on ground thing cleared, and then to go and win the confidence back, which won't happen in one overnight scenario, but to constantly be in dialogue with your fans, your consumers, your the media and everything, by putting out positive content, putting out content of all the good things that you're doing, and rebuilding your reputation so that people are back walking into your stores all over again, whether it's your store, your business, or something, whatever it is. It's an ongoing exercise, and generally you need closure on that. Don't do a one-off ad hoc thing and then again go back, because that leaves you sensitive to again some more reputation attacks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So great. So I think that was our take on crisis management. Until next time.
Thank you.